Hello and good day. My name is Cameron Weiland, and I'll be carrying out my presentation on COVID-19. Now, COVID as a whole, it affects everyone primarily due to its global pandemic nature. As such, I believe covering COVID-19 in detail will serve a purpose for everyone. It will aid us to combat the disease so that does not get a major resurgence in a third year, and B, will help us to be better prepared in the event of a future outbreak in which of a disease of a similar nature. COVID is a disease that primarily resides within the respiratory system, and as such, that lends to it a high degree of infectivity. It can exist on surfaces, it can be passed on directly through physical contact, and it can particularly persist within respiratory droplets. Whenever a person coughs or sneezes and they're infected, that is COVID's bread and butter, as it were. And as it is a respiratory disease, the symptoms with it are, as you'd expect, of a respiratory nature. They consist of coughing, sore throat, shortness of breath, things you wouldn't really suspect as being anything serious. But in addition to that, COVID can also cause a runny nose or congestion, headaches, muscle pain, nausea, vomiting, temporary loss of smell or altered sense of taste. Long COVID is an interesting case. It is an instance where an infected individual is suffering from persistent symptoms of COVID. This can, it lasts for up to 4 weeks, up to 12 weeks. Researchers are still not sure as to how long these sort of symptoms can last in the case with long COVID. And with that, and with long COVID, there are additional symptoms such as extreme fatigue, heart palpitations, and a tightness of the chest, a shortness of breath as listed before, difficulties with concentration, further alteration to the taste and smell, and increased joint and muscle pain. In particular, long COVID seems to be an issue in individuals with asthma or other respiratory issues and the elderly. Now, I'm certain I don't need to tell you how COVID was initially responded to. The lockdowns were very much prevalent and everywhere. That being said, they came into a specific degree, and so I would like to go over those to better illustrate responses in future. Several policies for a lockdown included the regulations to become a caregiver, which extends the license for doctors and assistants and removes requirements for medical students to join the workforce so as to help bolster manpower during the initial wave of pandemic in which medical staff were stretched to their absolute limit. There was also the elimination of dine-in, so that individuals could no longer gather in a restaurant, as that would be prime, COVID's a prime hotspot for COVID, and so eating out was limited explicitly to takeout or delivery. There were bans on visitors in hospitals, school closures, restrictions on traveling in between states, and the cessation of non-emergency medical and dental procedures, as well as the cessation of non-essential business, although that did not last for a time. COVID, for all of its effects as a disease, wasn't of a purely physical matter. In particular, it left a great deal of many individuals destitute mentally without proper graphing of mentally destitute and without proper analysis. Experts are still unsure as to the exact figure, but from what they can gather, COVID has in particular resulted in an increased ramp-up of depression amongst older individuals and individuals who were in fact treated with COVID due to the stress surrounding them. In conclusion, COVID as a disease has perhaps laid bare the world's ability to take care of itself, and whether or not we can handle such a virus in future is dependent wholly on our ability to cooperate and adhere to guidelines and restrictions. Thank you, and have a good day.